From KAMR Local 4 News, your local election headquarters, this is Politics Today.
Budgets for area cities and counties continues, but there are some where the dollars don't make sense. And after major flooding last Monday night, we'll check in with the city about their Playa Lake monitoring system. It's budget season, and that means some tax rates could go up or lower depending on where you live. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Jack Kessler. A marathon budget meeting for the Potter County Commissioners Court this week as they discuss the county budget for 2025-2026. Here are some of those discussions and details on a potential tax increase. Potter County Judge Nancy Tanner says Potter County is shrinking, and it does not have the growth the city of Amarillo and Randall County has.
Our tax base is low, so we have to keep that in mind as we try to raise taxes or try to raise the funds for the people that need the raises or need what equipment that they need, and it's just hard to do when our tax base is shrinking.
Potter County Auditor Brandon Boston says they are starting this budget cycle with about a $1.3 million gap in the recurring revenue compared to last year. Boston adds that the court would need to adopt a tax rate somewhere between 4.9% and 5%.
Now we're looking at a 4.5% increase is where we stood today, up to a 8.5%. And so right now, we just need to go back to the drawing board. I'm certainly not comfortable with the higher end of that, and I believe the court is in that same position.
This is because the $1.3 million that they are down and the $2 million in requests. Given those numbers, he says they need $3.3 million of additional revenue to keep the county just at current revenue levels. County Judge Nancy Tanner says that big of a tax hike is something they want to avoid.
Back to the drawing board, and we'll make some more cuts because we can't raise taxes as much as they propose, but we should raise them today. So we'll go back and do some more work.
Covey says he would like to give everyone what they're asking for, but there is no way they can raise the taxes in Potter County 8 to 8.5%. The Amarillo City Council added another budget workshop day to their schedule. They meet Friday after finding out during the recent workshops that they might have a budget shortfall in general revenue. These are workshops, so no decision on budget were made. So you can head over to our website myhighplains.com to learn the latest on what was discussed. The Randall County Commissioners Court proposed lowering the current tax rate. They spoke about their tax rate and budget this week. They're proposing a tax rate decrease by 0.04%. Randall County Judge Christy Dyer says that this budget provides for all the needs of the county while keeping the tax rate low. Up next comes the readings and approval.
But what we can assure you is that the Randall County Commissioners Court has always been mindful of the citizens' money. This is no different. We are mindful that it is your money and that we work for you. We've done everything in our power to provide the services that you need, but to be able to provide it in the tightest budget and the best tax rate possible.
Those meetings will be at 9 a.m. in the Commissioner's Courtroom. If passed, the budget would go into effect October 1st. The City of Canyon is proposing a higher tax rate, and it could cost the average homeowner about $300 more per year. The proposed tax rate is 0.51. City officials say a lot of the budget is focused on public safety, things like competitive pay scales for police and fire, as well as increasing the annual budgets. Officials say a majority of the tax rate was voted on in May with the bond election.
The increase in property payments for the average household, based off of what Pratt has provided us for the average homestead value, is $304. $67 of that increase is to be used for operations, and $236 of that is for the debt service for the new public safety facility improvements.
Recently, the City of Canyon issued the bonds from that May election project. There's a public hearing on the proposed tax rate. That's Tuesday at 4:30. Citizens can voice their opinion and ask questions at that time. City of Canyon is developing plans to improve roadway safety and is asking the community for input. City's safety action plan is set to be a strategic roadmap to reduce crashes and address priority safety concerns. The map will be open for concerns and suggestions until October 4th. The community can use an interactive map on the Canyon City website to add a marker indicating a safety concern with an opinion to write or an option to write in a safety suggestion.
We all drive around the community on a regular basis or walk around our communities, and we go by intersections and we have a near wreck, or we say, hey, that's unsafe. And so the idea here is to think of those locations where those things have happened in the past and say, hey, let's try to change that.
City of Canyon was awarded $110,000 from the SS4A grant tied to the nationwide Safety Streets and Roads for All initiative. You can find a link to the interactive map over on our website, myhighplains.com. City of Amarillo being recognized for its Safe Streets for All plan. The Yellow City receiving the Gold Award for Transportation Planning by the American Planning Association Texas chapter. We're told it focuses on reducing traffic fatalities through slower, more efficient traffic patterns, better street design, and safer intersections. So far, it's enabled the city to secure funding for 3 major projects to date. Flooding continues to be a concern across Amarillo following recent heavy rainfall in short periods of time. Politics Today's Maya Clark has details from the city on how Playa Lakes have been impacted, as well as a local business.
City of Amarillo Director of Public Works Alan Harder says Monday's floods have no correlation with the city's Playa Lakes.
The Playa Lakes had a lot of capacity for water. They didn't impact what was happening in the streets. There's always a flood. There's always a rain event, I should say, where you're just going to get enough water that it takes time to get into the storm sewer network and get away.
Harder says even with the rainfall, Playa levels are lower than they were July 26th. He adds that the city is constantly monitoring the lakes to stay prepared for rain events.
We don't wait until the lakes are full to turn pumps on. We are always running the pumps to get it as low as we possibly can. So our goal is to get all of the water out. We don't want to get to a point where it's at capacity. And so by managing that continuously, we're prepared when we have rain events like we did on Monday night.
One business impacted by the rainfall is Calico County Restaurant, which closed early Monday due to flooding.
15 minutes to flood, took 20 minutes, 30 minutes to drain out. So thinking that there was so much water that the drains couldn't keep up.
Garcia says they were able to reopen the next day and that they didn't have significant damage.
A lot of squeegee, a lot of air movers to dry everything out. Nothing really soaked. You know, actually I don't think anything soaked on this one round. Which is a good thing. On the last round, yeah, it looked like a roller coaster in here.
In regards to the flooding that happened on Washington Street, TxDOT released the following saying TxDOT is aware of the flooding issues at this intersection during periods of high rainfall intensity. We are actively looking at solutions to mitigate flooding at this area to improve the safety for the traveling public. We strongly urge drivers to avoid travel, if possible, during heavy rainfall events. Citizens in Keys, Oklahoma vote yes on new companies providing them electricity. This is the result of a special election Tuesday. This is for a proposition to allow Tri-County Electric Cooperative, Inc., and Oklahoma Corporation to use land and facilities to provide energy to the town for 10 years. The Amarillo ISD Board of Trustees approves the district's new cell phone policies. This is following the bill signed by Texas Governor Greg Abbott banning cell phones in Texas schools. Amarillo ISD says their current cell phone policy already meets the requirements. They did have to change some of the wording and the discipline parts to match the law. Amarillo ISD Board President Doyle Quarter says this policy continues to work for the district.
It worked very well. There's a learning curve to it. There's some growing pains to it, but we saw a lot of fruit from it.
Representative Caroline Fairley introduced this bill into the Texas legislature during their last session. It officially goes into effect this school year. The board also approved granting extracurricular status to Potter and Randall County 4-H organizations. Officials say they currently have 13 AISD students in Potter County 4-H and 8 AISD students in Randall County 4-H. 4-H is the largest youth development organization and has about 6 million young people involved.
Yeah, one thing we're always wanting to do with our students is preparing them for life beyond high school. And if that's going to be on the farm or in an ag barn or things like that, raising cattle, that's important to our community. So we want them to be able to do that well also and be prepared for that also.
The board also approved adjunct staff members to serve as county extension agents. The Amarillo City Council covered many topics at their meeting this past week, including street project, water projects, and more. We've got those stories next. No action was taken during this week's Emerald City Council meeting on transferring $70,000 in the reserve funds to evaluate more than 8,000 water lines in the lead and copper rule improvement service line inventory project. It's an EPA mandate to check all of the water lines and have a plan in place to replace needed lines by late 2027. Although the rule might change with the Trump administration, City Council wanted more information on the cost of inspecting the lines in-house, which city employees have been doing for several months now. Officials say special equipment will be needed for some of the older lines. Council will take this item back up at a future meeting. The council did approve moving some leftover money from one project to replacing some water lines in the North Heights area. Officials say the project bid came in a little higher versus the money that was previously approved. Back in June, the council approved a more than $1.2 million contract. This will replace some 2-inch water lines with 6-inch water lines. And council approved more than $130,000 leftover money from other projects to extend a sewer main on 4th Street. The total cost of this project is now $2.6 million. With that additional funding, officials say weather permitting, this project should be complete in about 6 months. The Amarillo City Council will now have 2 readings of almost all resolutions presented. That was passed this week and creates a policy requiring 2 readings of resolutions prior to a final adoption. At least one council member said this would allow the citizens to have a few opportunities to have their voice heard on issues before they're approved. The council also approved a more than $6.5 million contract for city street maintenance. The contract is for mill and overlay projects in arterial roadways throughout the city. It was unanimously awarded to advance pavement maintenance during the council meeting. The project is being funded through street bonds. The city of Amarillo is seeking input and feedback from the public for their next police chief. The city says it is offering an online survey to the public to help guide the selection of the next chief of police. Participation in the survey will help identify the qualities, experience, and public safety priorities.
It's a very key position. Chief of police, fire chief, some of those that are very outward facing, deal with a lot of community challenges, opportunities. So we want to make sure the citizens and stakeholders are involved on that next selection.
The survey is anonymous and will be open through August 29th. It is available in English and Spanish. You can find those surveys over on our website at myhighplains.com. More than $1 million was invested in testing Curry County residents' blood for PFAS. We've got those results of that project and who the New Mexico Environment Department says is to blame. Those who live or work near Cannon Air Force Base may have 3 times more PFAS in their blood compared to the average person. That's the claim from the New Mexico Environment Department. More than 600 Curry County residents who live or work near Cannon were tested. 99% of those tested had 1 or more PFAS chemicals in their blood. The department says the results show the most commonly detected chemicals are historically used in firefighting foams. A new behavioral health facility in Clovis poised to make a big impact in eastern New Mexico. Politics Today's Blas Guerrero has more details about the groundbreaking and how it will provide much needed mental health services to the region.
A major milestone for eastern New Mexico as the Horizon Behavioral Health Center broke ground in Clovis. The new facility is part of a $10 million project that will provide local access to critical behavioral health services for people in crisis.
This is a project that's been underway, been in the works for about 3+ years now. And it's a collaborative partnership on the part of 5 counties and 3 municipalities, Clovis being one of them.
The facility will offer 12 inpatient beds and 10 23-hour stay stations, allowing individuals facing behavioral health crises to receive care closer to home.
Currently, there's only one public facility in the state of New Mexico, and that's in Las Vegas, and it's constantly at capacity. You have to be in really bad shape to get into that facility. There's some private facilities in the state, but depending on what your insurance you know, what your pay mix looks like. You may or may not be able to get in there and get the help that you need.
The project aims to strengthen local access to behavioral health services and reduce pressure on law enforcement.
It's an alternative for law enforcement, for emergency rooms, which are already overburdened with folks that are in mental health and substance abuse crisis. This hopefully allows those resources to be utilized for medical emergency and first responder emergency as opposed to dealing with mental health crisis.
Once open, the center will offer crisis, intervention, and residential services, ensuring that individuals in need receive immediate compassionate care.
The Horizon Behavioral Health Center expected to be completed by next summer, and a grand opening event is planned once the center is operational. The project received $10 million from New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham for land acquisition and construction. The lesser prairie chicken will soon be off the endangered species list. This has been a multi-year court battle. A judge this week ruled that the lesser prairie chicken would lose that distinction. In May, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service asked for the change, saying there was a serious fundamental defect in the final ruling. Lesser prairie chicken's range covers several areas, including along the Texas-New Mexico state line and parts of Oklahoma. August is a time for us to help clear the shelters. We'll check in with the Amarillo Animal Management and Welfare about how they're making it easier to say goodbye to a few of their special guests. NBC's Clear the Shelters initiative is taking place throughout the month of August. Politics Today's Kaylee Hanna has details about Amarillo Animal Management and Welfare and how you can help.
According to Brandy Bullock, Amarillo Animal Management and Welfare Assistant Director, the shelter is currently full on animal intake and needs the community's help to get adoptable animals into their forever homes.
You're not only adopting a companion, but you're saving a life as well, and you're not only saving one life, you're also opening a spot for another pet in our care.
Throughout August, the shelter will waive adoption fees, which include vaccines, microchip, and spaying or neutering.
And then our crescendo event is August 23rd. It's going to be 11 to 7, and we're going to need volunteers to come out and play with animals, and we're going to have hopefully some activities going on out here as well.
Bullock says incoming animals are vaccinated and all adopted animals are spayed or neutered and microchipped before being placed in new homes to address public safety issues and animal overpopulation.
If you come out and you adopt an animal, you're going to see they're not just shelter animals. We have many breeds, sizes, ages. Some are even house trained, some no tricks. We're probably going to have the animal that you're looking for. And if not, you can always come back and try again. They come fixed and vaccinated, so you are getting an animal for less cost.
If you want to adopt an animal from the shelter, you are encouraged to stop by during business hours. They're open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Tuesday through Saturday. The United Way of Amarillo and Canyon has released their official 2024 Community Status Report. Status Report provides a data-driven snapshot of the real challenges facing residents in Potter and Randall County. The report focuses on residents identified as being asset-limited, income-constrained, employed. This refers to individuals who have jobs but are also in need of resources and helped to stay afloat.
This is where we would use the community status report to look at gaps in the community, gaps in services, gaps in access, and be able to aid either our partners or our friends, either financially or through convening and collaborating with local nonprofits that are maybe already doing work in those gap areas.
This year's report shows that nearly 28% of children living in Potter County live in poverty. In Randall County, the percentage takes a drastic drop to just over 8%. You'll read more about the report and what it means for our community on our website, myhighplains.com. We'll wrap up Politics Today after this. Inflation is rising, and the worst of it hasn't even hit consumers. Let's talk about what happened this week. The Producer Price Index, which measures wholesale inflation before it hits consumers, was up nearly 1% in July compared to June, and up more than 3% compared to last year. The numbers were higher than forecasters expected. That's on top of a Labor Department report showing consumers' prices up nearly 3% in July compared to last July. The latest report shows slowing rent increase and cheaper gas are offsetting some of the tariff impacts. as are some businesses who are absorbing the tariff cost instead of passing that on to consumers. You can step up to the latest political news with us this week. We have continuing coverage on our website, myhighplains.com. And you can like us on Facebook, Instagram, and follow us on Alexa. I'm Jack Kessler. This is Politics Today.